Hi there, I'm Erica and I'm so excited to help you build your home in 2026. I do coaching and education for people dreaming of building their home and doing it with a more budget-friendly approach by either being your own general contractor or being wise at negotiating and hiring the right people to build your home because you're well aware of the overall cost and the process to do it. On this video, we go over the steps needed in order to successfully build your home from start to finish, and the things that I would have done differently had I gone ahead and built our house. We talk about the 19 steps, and I will be linking it down in the description, that were just key and critical for making our home a reality. I make it so simple because you can just paste it on your wall, mark off as you go each step, and you have a vision of the entire roadmap. So you won't be starting from scratch as I did, where I was missing the roadmap and I had to ask. And yes, you can Google things, but it's one thing to Google and AI something and it give you the response that a machine would tell you versus what works in real life on land for your family and based on faith, not just machine learning, but rather, can God make this possible for us? Because with God, even the impossible becomes possible. So let's get started. The very first thing I would do, for example, we live out of Texas. Say I was building in Wisconsin. I would first look for land that is very reasonably priced, either owner-builder land that I can owner finance, so something that I know I can eventually build on because it's either in the county or because I know it's well prepared, or if it's raw land that I can afford to do the preparations. We'll talk about that in a moment. I would look for land between 35,000, 55,000, about an acre, acre and a half. If you have more money than that, or you can borrow more than that, more power to you, but you make the decision based on what you really need. So I wrote down exactly what I would do here and the amount and quantities that I would spend on here. So if you want to write that down, you can. If you're not quite ready to write all these steps down, remember that you can just grab the roadmap that will be in the description and you can just follow that as you get through your process. How can you find the land that's not that expensive? I would go on Zillow, Google. Wouldn't get a real estate agent right off the bat. I would first compare and decide what works for me and what doesn't. The reason I say that is because you don't want to get overcommitted. Then they'll lead you on into with a contractor and then lead you on to building with them and having to probably pay way above what would have actually costed you had you done it in pieces yourself. But let's go back on here. So you have the land. Say that you've already bought it or you already had your property, your ranch, and you want it to be agriculture land, if not at least a homestead on your property so you get a tax reduction. And the way I would prepare the land first is get some quotes from either an engineer to go over the soil testing, see what I need to prepare and do, who I need to contract. As soon as that was done, and I would go to my city and county to get the builder's permit. If you don't know how to get your permits, I'll give you details down below. But basically, I would get my permits to build on. I would pay for a portable potty to make sure that my team has a comfortable place to go restroom, and us as well when we go visit the building location. So for sure that. I would absolutely look for a dumpster. My husband and I, we missed that step. We did not do a dump truck or dump trailer. Instead, we picked it up in pieces into our truck, and it was really hard. It took a lot of effort, and it didn't allow for our contractors to stay clean during the entire process. Instead, they were too busy dumping everywhere. So let's keep that organized and get that for them. I would get temporary electric and water. You have to ask your community how to get that, but most of the time your city and county can tell you. And that way they can help you when the contractors start working. They have access to that. They'll need it for their work. Then I would look for making sure that my plans are done by an architect, even though I've sketched them out so they're nice and ready to go. That way I can get a straight plan when I give it to them for the contractors to build. I don't want to have to go in pieces and not know the pricing of things. Next, I would absolutely price out everything, and I'm looking at my notes. I would price out material and labor, put it all into a spreadsheet, go to different material stores. I let you know in the spreadsheets below as well how to get your material and labor costs. It literally breaks down where to put comparison up to 3 stores, 3 subcontractors to get the best deals, and then you total up everything, and there you have it. Then you have your totals specific to your custom build, specific to your land, and the way you're contracting. And you can do this even if you hire a general So there you go. Now you've got the spreadsheets, you know where you're breaking down costs. I tell you in the mini course within there exactly where to go, who to ask, and what helps you be successful on your quotes. So now you have the prices. Our next step is going to be getting insurance for liability, making sure that we are covered in case of anything happening in our property, whether it's natural disaster or as our contractors work there. So get that liability insurance. You can try places like Progressive. I don't know about Allstate, but do your research in your community, in your state. The next thing I would do is make sure that my budget aligns with material delivery schedules, that I am paying just sufficient to transport and it isn't going way over budget. So bundling things up in order to have them in my property. To avoid any material getting taken off property, I would try to fence or gate my entire property timely before we even start construction. The next thing that I would do is consider all my different financing options. Where do I have money? How can I get more access to resources and capital to build? If you need these resources, I have the 20 different ways linked down below that my husband and I use to get that capital in order. So these are all the different steps that I would take. I would try to do a 15-year mortgage once the construction is fully done. Put it all into one mortgage payment. The house plan, I would then give that big plan to our general contractor team, and I would trust them from foundation to the next person I hire. And anything I wouldn't know, I would ask them for steps and feedback. You are the project manager, general contractor, so you're not in charge of knowing it all. You're in charge of trusting your team and giving them the resources, support, and listening ear to make sure they're doing the right next thing. The next thing I would consider is having a proper timeline. So when do I want to finish? Having a target date, but being open-minded about weather, finances, and things that can just occur throughout the build. That's really important. Next, I would make sure that all of my materials are there before the next person needs to come in, and that I've already contracted somebody for the next process. So when I'm done, say with the foundation and I'm going on to structure, that I've already contracted my structure person. And I can talk about the pay schedule and everything on another one of the videos to make sure that you never end up losing money when you are hiring a team, but also that you do it with integrity, that you're paying them on time, that you're being kind and helpful to them, so you're both working as a team. I would then make sure that all my inspections, and again in the permit and inspection form down below, I'll link it, you can get all the details on that as well. But I would make sure that I have the inspections done properly so I get the occupancy permit if need be, depending on the county you're at. And if I notice that I was too busy, it usually just takes 10 to 15 hours a week to oversee the build. But I would consider a project manager and pay them maybe $3,800 for the entire scope of the process, since they're only going to go in a few hours a week to check what's going on. Or I would consider maybe hiring somebody else to kind of supervise the build if I couldn't. Remember that every state is different. In Texas, you can be your own general contractor without needing a specific license. You just have to make sure you know the proper steps, process to avoid errors. And you need to make sure that you're getting the proper permits and inspections and so on. So the next thing that I would do once these things are done is make sure I follow the exact roadmap that I keep talking about down below, where it tells you what to buy next. If you're doing the walls, then do you have the windows order? When are we going through the roof? Next step. What doors do we need? What quantity? So I would go through that entire checklist, mark it off as I go revise my spreadsheet for the total budget, and that's how I would stay on track. Once the house is almost done, I would be walking it through just as I would have throughout the process. And at night, I would turn on a flashlight, look at the floor, and make sure it is turning out very nice and leveled. That's one of the things that can often be missed. I would check for the paint to look good and tape areas that may not look so great, that need more retouching. And I would double check that everything is getting installed properly as far as like plumbing, fixtures, countertops. Do I have all that in place? So this is everything I would do if I started over. You can grab my resources down below, and I'd love to work with you as a coaching client. This month I am sold out, but starting next month, I'm working with 3 people, one-on-one and small group, in order to help you go from where you're at in a game plan to get all the way to your home build. So if you're planning to build within this year, make sure that you apply down below. You'll have the document with all the steps, everything that you need, and I would be more than happy to work with you on building your dream home. Take care.